Hey everybody, it's your pal Trandell, and we are back finally with some more Remnant 2 build guides. Apologize for the little bit of the delay, been super busy. Real life stuff has been going on, all positive, amazing stuff. So I've just been enjoying life recently. But I've also been busy with stuff in the game too. Working on almost getting done with Veteran, working on farming the Huntress and theories on how to farm her. Finally got my Archon, so now I'm going to start working on builds and ideas and inspirations for that too. But we finally got a new build guide out, and let's talk about it. As the title says, this is the supply depot build. The whole gist of this is to supply you and your teammates with an almost infinite, supply of ammo. All kinds of heals from all kinds of sources and fun buffs to make you and your buddies stronger while you're out there exploring all the different wonderful worlds of Remnant 2. So let's talk about our classes and get this started with. Now, these are our classes for the Prime. We got our buddy the Alchemist here. But it's the secondary class, the Engineer, that was really the genesis of this build for me. It was the primordial soup that these ideas have been bubbling in for a little while now, and it all comes down to the surplus relic perk. Now, the last half of this description is what really caught my attention. If the stowed heavy weapon is overfilled, the Engineer will drop additional ammo based on the surplus. And I played with that around with that quite a few times over the past couple of weeks since I got it. And I kept on thinking to myself, yeah, we could do something with this. We can definitely do something with it. And then finally, yesterday, I started really putting the build together. Now that I've gotten more gear and stuff, now that I've gotten like the Alchemist leveled up, and the more I was able to synergize it, the more promising it just seemed to be across the board, especially in co-op. But this could also be really fun to play in solo too, and I've tested that out too. So, now that we know our classes, let's break them down a little bit. Now, we already talked about the main part of the Engineer, what it plays, in this role. It's all about the relic perk. It's all about getting that additional ammo whenever you have the turret stowed and it's full. And this is basically what it looks like. Simple idea. But how far can we take that? What else can we do to really just synergize that whole one-stop everything you and your buddies need kind of gameplay? And this is what I came up with. Now, right off the bat, most people would think, and rightly so, since we're going to be using relic charges to proc the surplus relic perk, why not go medic? The prime perk gives you all kinds of free relic charges as you're doing your healing. And I originally started thinking about that, but the more I started looking at Alchemist, it seemed like a better fit overall. Yes, the medic can get relic charges with healing, but it gets a little bit harder the more you do it. And that's really all it brings to the table. It doesn't bring anything new. Everybody already knows what the medic has to offer and what it can and can't do. I wanted to try to look at this at a different angle and see what else can we bring other than just straight healing. And the more I looked at the Alchemist, the more it just seemed like the go-to class for our Prime. For multiple reasons. Right off the bat, I've talked about the Prime perk before in previous videos when I've talked about the Alchemist. It is stupid busted. I mean, having 4 concoction buffs active at the same time is going to make you all kinds of freaking tanky. As you can kind of see right now, I already have 4 on, and my health is freaking ginormous compared to, a regular quote unquote support class. And we're getting all sorts of utility too. Things like, skill cooldown reductions, things like more mod power generation. And that's going to be really important as we dig deeper in the build. But what else can the Alchemist bring to the table? A lot, to be honest. Outside of the gold to lead, every single one of these perks has a place in the build and a place to shine. Liquid Courage, I mean, we get a 25% increase all damage. That's never a bad thing. But we also get a 5% critical chance increase. And that really matters once we start talking about spamming our skills and stuff later on, especially interactions with one of our rings. So Liquid Courage works. Panacea is absolutely amazing. Oh my god, if any of you have seen my negative status effect build, you already know where I'm going with this. These are my status resistances right now. But watch what happens once I start popping some consumables, okay? And let's talk about that real fast while we're here, because this is a perfect example. Now, you can honestly use any concoction you want, but the 4 I would generally suggest, and the 4 that I have kind of tested out and think work the best, first of all, Mutators Tonic. I mean, 25 max health is huge, and you can never have more than enough max health. So let's go ahead and pop this and find out what happens. Notice something with our resistances? They just went up. Panacea. Not only, because again, this is a support utility build. Not only whenever you use a curative item, so anything like, the mud rub, the oilskin balm, time worn, the purified self. Whenever you use one of these items, not only are you going to get the curative effect, but all your buddies. So let's say you're on Yesha, one of your buddies just got root rot. You can take care of that. Pop your oilskin balm. Not only will it cure you if you have it, but it'll also cure your buddy. And you're going to get what is it? I think it's a 10-minute. Yeah. I think it's 10 minutes. It's like 10 or 15 minutes. I haven't, necessarily timed it, but they last a good long while, right? So whenever you use one of these items, you're going to get a buff. Well, that buff stacks quite a few times. So let's pop some more items and find out. So next concoction that I think is absolutely mandatory is the Dark Cider. This just gives us all good things across the board. It gives us an increased health by percentage, which will interact with the Mutators Tonic. So you're going to get even more health on top of what we already got from the tonic. And look what happens. The status resistances go up again. Now, the last couple of tonics, the concoctions, I will leave up to you. Me personally, I think one of the best ones to run, especially with this type of build, would be the Xenoplasm. Again, we want to support our team. We want to be able to pop our our skill cooldowns as much as possible. So this is one of the ones I would definitely suggest. Another one would be the Bottle Shadeberry. So let's look what happens. There we go. And I believe 4 is the max. It only stacks 4 times, but damn. I mean, at that point, you're already rocking some pretty extreme resistances, and that's for you and your team. So again, Panacea is absolutely busted for sure. Now, like I said, besides the tonic, besides that, besides the dark cider, me personally, I would go for the bottled shea berry or the xenoplasm. Some secondary choices that would also work extremely well. The bark extract, extra armor. Again, kind of like extra health. You can never have enough of it. That's going to help make you even tankier than what you already are. And of course, the root water would also be really good because, hey, who doesn't like more sustain? So those are concoctions and how they interact with, Panacea. And that will also interact with, like I said, the curative items too, like the oilskin balm. Like I said, gold to lead, it doesn't really do much for us in the build and in co-op in general, but experimentalist, ooh, experimentalist is just it's sweet, folks. Oh my god, the buffs you can get from this thing is absolutely amazing. Basically, whenever you pop a relic, you're gonna get a 60-second buff, and some of these buffs are legit. I mean, like this right here. Well, guess what? You and your whole entire team just got a 1% increase to health regen that last 60 seconds. You get health regen, you get damage increases, damage reductions, crit chance, reload speed, all kinds of fun stuff. And with as many relics we have, you're going to be able to keep this up throughout any boss fight, or just as you're, roaming around the dungeon or, the open world. Because with 18 charges, which is what I have now, mileage may vary. The reason why I do have so many charges, and let's start talking about the gear, is the Lifeless Heart. At first glance, looking at how much health it gives you, it doesn't seem like it's all that great. But the doubled relic capacity that's another linchpin to this build. And it doesn't take much. Now, me personally, I have 9 charges regularly, all right? And I know that's a little bit of investment, but it wouldn't take very long to get into double digits. All you need is 5 charges of your relic heart, and well, bam, now all of a sudden you got 10. Take that up to 6, and now you're at 12, so on and so forth. So it wouldn't really take all that long to start getting this extremely loaded up with relic charges. But there's a couple other reasons why we chose the Lifeless Heart. Now, again, the 39% health doesn't seem all that bad, but when you look at the time frame, that's 39 health over half a second. So for most regular builds, that's almost half of a health bar that you're getting in half a second instantly. And it's not like with most relic hearts where it's an amount of time, a bigger heal, but over longer, time portions. Like, yeah, this might give you 130% max health, but it's over 10 seconds. So in the long run, you're getting less heals in that, 1 second with this than you are when you're getting the 39 for half a second. And this really matters because this is going to synergize with the rest of our build. And let's start looking at that. Amulet, Red Doe Sigil, that was the best one that I could see that just, again, helped bring the whole build together. Increases your relic healing effectiveness, and it doubles when the wearer's health is below 50%. So this is going to increase that relic heart if you really, really need that heal. So this is really good. Stone of Malevolence. If you've seen most of my content videos, this is probably one of my favorite rings in the game. This ring has so many things it can fulfill in so many builds, and just a the additional mod power is absolutely broken. Clarity Stone. Now, again, this is a large portion of our build is being able to use our Relic. This is going to help with that Relic speed. Normally, one of the other main reasons why we would go with the medic is because they do have that built-in Relic speed boost. With this, I mean, as you can see, that whole animation barely takes more than a second. And you're already starting to see the supply depot come into play. So the Clarity Stone was definitely a must-have. Now, the other must-have for this build is Burden of the Divine. Now, what this does is all damage dealt by the wearer is reduced by 10%. And that's not necessarily a good thing for sure, but again, our whole point of this build is to keep our buddies alive, to keep our tank or to keep our DPSers alive. I've said it before in a lot of my build guides. I am a firm believer that dead DPS equals 0 DPS. So anything we can do to keep our buddies in the fight longer and to help them concentrate on just putting out as much damage as possible so they don't have to worry about healing themselves so much is amazing. And that's what this does with that 50% of self-healing applies to allies. And it's all self-healing, folks. So the fact that we're able to spam our relics so often and so fast, well, they're going to be able to get 50% of all that healing that's going to be coming in whenever they need it. They need a quick top off, bam, just spam 2 of these in a row. Done. But it's not just relic heart usage. It's also lifesteal, and that's where things like Siphoner comes in. Now, half of 3% doesn't sound like much, but once you start realizing just how much damage you can put out with some of your abilities just going non-stop, that, 1.5% starts adding up real fast. I mean, you pop this bad boy. That's a lot of 1.5% lifesteal that just went out. That is going to add up extremely fast, and that's going to be constant healing that you're sending out to your team for doing nothing other than doing damage. So even when you're not necessarily having to pop your relic or pop, healing shot, just basically doing damage, you're still sending out healing. So that's why we got the Burden Divine. The last ring is our Sapphire Dreamstone. And this is where the added critical strike chance comes into play. Again, we want to support our team. And doing that means being able to use things like our skills. And this is one of the main reasons outside of the perks why I went Alchemist. Vial Elixir of Life. Now, what this does is you can either drop it at your feet or you can throw the vial. When it explodes, it grants Living Will. Living Will grants 5%, 5 health regeneration per second, protects against fatal damage, and can revive players. Last 20 seconds. Now, I know some of you might already be thinking, well, medics have a revive too. And you would be right, but there's a couple caveats to the medics revive. First of all, it doesn't grant any healing. And it's just a revive. Its real power shines once things have already gone south badly. Whereas with this, not only can we hopefully prevent, our team from wiping with that health regeneration, but in case people do start going down, then we can also revive them. And not only that, we can use this preemptively, unlike the medic revive. So when it talks about that that protects against fatal damage, basically what that means, when you pop in, there's multiple ways you can do this, and this is with all the vials. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I just redid my mouse settings today. I'm trying to figure them out again. You can either pop it at your feet, or you can actually aim it and throw it. So, for those 20 seconds that you have that buff, if you get any fatal damage, it will instantly revive you. So you don't have to wait until people are already dead. You can put up a preventive, oh shit, button in case, hey, if things do go south, it's already ready. And like I said, let's hope it doesn't, and let's hope that the healing that you're going to be pushing out with that keeps you from that wipe. So again, we're getting multiple uses outside of just a revive, and that's why we went with the Elixir of Life. The other thing too is, unlike with the medic's revive, again, it can only be used to revive people. The cooldown is also a lot lower on this too. I believe the medics is like 90 something odd seconds, maybe even a little bit higher, whereas this is only 78. So we're getting multiple uses out of it. And the other thing too, the one thing that you will see that they both share is the fact that revived allies cannot be revived. So that you basically can't just keep on spamming the revives out to people, because it's got a 180-second cooldown. And that's one of the other problems with the medic's revive. That's all it's really good for, is that revive aspect. So if you pop it on somebody and they go down, or something like that, well, you can't use it for another 180 seconds, and it doesn't really have any major uses outside of that revive, where again, with this, at the very least, even if we do pop it on somebody and they can't be revived, they can still get the healing aspect from it. So that's why we went with the Vial Elixir of Life. So to be able to get that up as much as possible, that's where the Sapphire Dreamstone comes in. Critical hits reduce skill cooldowns by 3%, can only happen every 2 seconds. This is massive. This is absolutely massive. And that's where our weapons, and particularly the corrosive rounds comes in. So, corrosive rounds plays a couple different duties in this build. Obviously for the elemental damage, so we can get the mod power regeneration from the Stone of Malevolence, of course. But also that added critical strike chance. With this, and the 5% that we just get from the Alchemist perk, we're already sitting at 30% critical strike chance with our Chicago typewriter. And that is going to constantly be proccing the Sapphire Dreamstone. It's amazing how often this will proc once that 2-second window is up, which is going to allow us to get our Elixir of Life up more often, so we can keep throwing it out for that healing whenever we need to. The Chicago typewriter is definitely one of the best weapons to use for this build. We got a nice big clip, so we can take advantage of having those corrosive rounds up. We can just pump out all kinds of damage. That way we're getting mod power generation from the Stone of Malevolence. That way we're proccing the Sapphire Dreamstone, and we're, bringing down our cooldowns. If you don't have this one, because this is something you need to find, the next best, or possibly a very valid second choice would be the bone saw. The bone saw anybody can buy from Barbarez. This is absolutely amazing on multiple points. Now, this does have a bigger clip. This is 150 compared to the Chicago typewriter's 80. And at first glance, you might think, well, that's obviously better than. But for any of you that haven't actually seen the bone saw in action, though, there is one major caveat, and let's talk about it real fast. If you notice right below our reticle, there's a heat gauge. So yes, while you might have almost double the clip, you definitely have to be careful of that heat gauge, because if you keep going non-stop, that happens and it puts you out of action for a couple seconds. So basically you kind of got to play around with it. Once you start getting to that red point, you need to back off a little bit. So if you're willing to play around with that a little bit, then yeah, the bone saw would definitely be the next best bet. Or even, like I said, a valid option to go for 100%. So that's our long gun. And that's why we have the Chicago typewriter. Now for our mutator, again, this is all about ammo. We want to keep firing and keep, procking our Sapphire Dreamstone and procking our Stone of Malevolence to regenerate mod power non-stop. And the refunder, actually, I was about ready to say, let's go back and reset, but we don't need to reset. Now, if you look at my reserves for our typewriter, watch what happens. Refunder is one of my favorite mutators in the game, and I think it's 100% overrated. It returns so much ammo that 9 times out of 10 in boss fights and stuff like that, especially on bigger clips. Now, we're talking about things like our typewriter, things like our bone saw, things that are automatic, nice, big, beefy clips. You're definitely not going to get the same type of mileage out of your single shot bows and crossbows and stuff like that, and things with smaller clips. But with really big clips, it just allows you to freaking just open up and not have to worry about it so much. And let's pop some of this out. At level 10, it also gives you the chance to also refill your secondary ammo reserve. So if you look at our handgun, now we're getting extra ammo for both weapons. So yeah, momentum on the long gun is definitely the way to go for sure. Melee, honestly, you can use whatever you want. I got the Ornate Flail on here because I got Steadfast. Those two things are a beautiful combination. With all the health we have, we're already pretty tanky. Since we are playing a more of a supportive type of role, you shouldn't be face tanking anything, but if something jumps on you, basically you just swing up the flail. And especially at level 10, that 20% damage reduction and the gray health is going to keep you alive long enough either A, for somebody else in the group to pull the aggro off you, or B, to disengage. But honestly, any melee weapon can work. Some other really good options would be anything ranged, like the Krell Axe, the Huntress Spear. That way you have another range option. But hey, whatever floats your boat, go for it. Our handgun, we're doing the MP60R. kind of in the same vein as our Chicago typewriter. We want something with a nice big clip that we can really lay into something nonstop for as long as we can. For our mod, we're going with Healing Shot because, again, we are the supply depot. We are the the surplus drop for our team. We want to be able to pop out heals, keep our team and ourselves alive non-stop, and not even have to think about it. So there you go. That's even more healing we're popping out. And again, with as much mod power generation as we're getting from our Stone of Malevolence and our corrosive rounds, we're just going to be able to throw those out nonstop. And that's why we went with Healing Shot for our secondary mod. Again, we want to keep the team alive. We don't want anybody on the team outside of ourselves to really have to think about healing. We want them to just be able to go all ham, face tank whatever they need to face tank, damage and kill whatever needs to be killed, and we worry about supplying the team with everything else they need. For our mutator, we got Deadly Calm. Again, we want a way that if we are using the MP60 for whatever reason, to get those crits in, so we can keep proccing our Sapphire Dreamstone. So Deadly Calm is definitely the best route to go. If you don't have Deadly Calm, you could use, and you still want to get crits. Where is it? Momentum would be a good one. The problem with momentum is it takes a moment to kind of come online until you get it at level 10, because at level 10 you get the stacks a lot faster, and they fall off a lot faster too until you get it at level 10. Before level 10, you only have it for 3 seconds unless you're constantly attacking. At level 10, you'll get it to 5 seconds, and those stacks are double, so it's a lot easier to get that up and rolling. Outside of that, any mutator would work. If you're looking for a little bit more damage output, Twisting Wounds is absolutely amazing. That bleed adds up real fast, especially on smaller targets and stuff like that. But even on elites and stuff, any amount of damage that you can add on top of everything else you and your team are doing, in my book, is absolutely awesome. So that's the gear. Those are the mods. We've already talked about the classes. We can go over the armor real fast because I know people have been interested in what I'm wearing before. But honestly, folks, outside of, if there's a certain DR threshold you're trying to meet, unless you want only a certain type of role, armor is kind of cosmetic in Remnant 2, and I'm okay with that. It's not like it was in Remnant 1 where all the cool stuff was actually locked onto armor pieces and armor sets. But this is the armor that I wear. One quick thing I want to talk about. Lodestone Crown. I honestly cannot talk about this enough. It's my favorite helmet, if any of you haven't noticed by now. And this is why. We get a built-in flashlight that it's like 1,000,000 times better than the dorky little flashlight we're given. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is absolutely amazing. Compare this to the flashlight. I mean, it's not even. It's not even close. The flashlight, the illumination from the flashlight is very focused and very centered, whereas with the Lodestone crown, that thing lights up the whole entire room. You take this in the Great Sewers or any other darker area, and oh my god, you will notice a difference. So, the Lodestone is absolutely my favorite helmet to wear in the game. Outside of that, we got the Radiant Protector, Red Widow leggings, and Red Widow bracers. For me personally, it gives me the perfect balance of armor weight and ZR that I'm looking for. But like I said, wear whatever armor floats your boat. You know. And finally, let's talk about the traits real fast. Fortify and Potency we all already get automatically from our classes. The next big ones for me, of course, would be Triage, because this healing is across the board. It's any type of outgoing healing, and it's any type of healing in general. So it's your Relic Heart, it's your life steal, it's your healing shot, it's the life steal and the healing that you're sharing with your team through the burden of the divine. Triage is an amazing, trait to have for this build. Of course, vigor, but because hey, max health is amazing. We want to stay alive so we can keep our team. Spirit, of course, because we want to be able to spam those mods. We want to keep the healing shots going out. Expertise, same reason. We want to be able to throw out our Elixir of Life whenever we need to. Bark Skin, of course, we want to stay alive. Siphoner, we already talked about. This is going to give us a sustain that we can share with our team and constantly keep people topped off. And last but not least, Kinship. Now, Kinship is extremely underrated in co-op, but I mean even in solo play style too, because you gotta remember, folks, friendly fire is a thing. And just to show you what I'm talking about, we're gonna pop our turret real fast. Now, this is what it looks like with Kinship. We're taking some damage, but definitely nothing that we can't deal with. But hey, why take any damage, unless you absolutely need to, right? Now, just to show you how much Kinship matters, I just reset my points. We're going to reset our turret real fast. So again, let's take a look at our traits. Let's get everything else back the way we were. But let's leave Kinship out, right? As you can see, it is very noticeable. It is a very unpleasant chunk of damage that you are going to be taking. And you gotta remember, this is with fire resistance and a boatload of extra max health. Your squishier teammates are not going to appreciate it if your flame turret starts chunking them for like a third of their health. Okay? That type of damage is the type of damage that can easily wipe a group if somebody gets hit at the wrong time. And that's why kinship is still viable. Because there are going to be those moments when we do want to use our turret. Perfect example. Let's say we just walked into a boss arena, right? We just started the fight. Now would be the time to go ahead and use your turret. Go ahead, pop it down while everybody's topped off. Start getting that damage out. And not only that, but the elemental damage, I mean, as you can see, the elemental damage from our turret is just going to give us stupid amounts of mod power regeneration. So that is definitely the point in time you want to start using your turret. Use it at the start of the fight while everybody's already got full ammo. And then from there, at this point, that's probably when people are going to start needing heals. So we can just start spamming this out. And not only are we healing ourselves but our team, but now we're also refilling our turret, getting the cooldown on that lowered, and we're popping out ammo that people are going to start needing, especially those teammates that, again, do like using those single shot weapons, do like using those weapons with smaller ammo reserves. And that's the build, folks. That is our one-stop shop for everything you need supply depot build. As always, everybody, I appreciate all the love and appreciation that I have received so far from the Remnant 2 community. It makes me so happy that a lot of you are enjoying the content, enjoying the videos, and understanding the whole point of the channel. I just want to make fun builds. I want to make fun builds that inspire other people to think outside of the box, to push the envelope, to experiment themselves. And yes, I know my videos are long, but I'm not just giving people a 5 to 6 minute, quote unquote build guide so they can just copy and paste but have absolutely no idea why or how it works, what the mechanics are involved, what the interactions are involved. I would rather teach people the mechanics, how they interact, how to look at them, so then they can take my videos, my content, and my ideas and learn from it. So they can get their own inspirations. So they can start doing their own fun builds that work for them and their playstyles. And I'm so happy that a lot of you out there are appreciative of that and do get it. It's been absolutely amazing. The channel growth over the past couple weeks has absolutely blown my mind. I would love to keep it growing. I would love to get more subscribers. I am almost up to the halfway mark where I can be eligible to partner up with YouTube, which would be absolutely amazing because that would make it so much easier for me to put more time and content out there for everybody to enjoy. So I appreciate everything that the Remnant 2 community has shown me, and I love all of you for it. On that note, as always, everybody, I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll talk again soon.